graphics are very valuable to get across the main points, benefits, just all sorts of good stuff on your listing. So just want to have a quick note about color and font that I see some people messing up on, and just give you some quick tips and guidance. There's a study of psychology behind fonts and what they portray, because as we've covered earlier, letters are literally just individual images. So we all process these differently, and the font that you choose can get across different points. And so basically, you don't need to get too in-depth on fonts. Okay, you can go basic. There's just one basic thing that I've seen some people mess up on sometimes. So let's say you want to have a strong, bold brand. Go with something very bold and big, such as some of these right here or there or that. Just match whatever your brand image is to the type of font. So for example, here we have the UFC. They have a nice, big, bold font because they're big, strong fighters. All right. So yeah, the UFC would just look really weird if they had this fancy, stylish logo like that. So, I've seen sometimes where people are trying to portray larger or stronger value propositions and brands, but making very thin, skinny font that isn't large. Also, one other thing, not just the font, but you want the font to be very large proportionally to the image, just the most effective. You could have a big, bold font, but it's tiny, and so that it doesn't get the effect. Going to the horny goatweed example here that we brought up, or that Eric brought up, they clearly have very big, bold font because it's for, I don't even know what this is for, something for men. I stand corrected. Apparently it's for passion, vitality, and energy. A great example would be this giant wall calendar. And well, first of all, you wouldn't want this guy to be very tiny and just show all that empty white space. But going down here, they have a free erase marker with every calendar. So they're trying to portray this is a giant product and that you're getting this nice free calendar. Like, this is a good idea, but you might just want to use more of this space and use that text to be a probably different font, because this looks like a free font, but I guess maybe it matches. Anyways, you would want this to be a lot bigger and more enticing, and to use that whole thing up and make that text bigger. So we were talking about color and font. Now it's time for color. The colors that you use have a psychological effect, just like the font does. So here's a general outline of how different colors are going to affect the consumer differently. And then now over here's the most favorited colors by men and women, and blue is universal. And you can see that blue is the most common corporate color that exists out there. Then the least favorite color is this kind of puke brown. Not suggested to use that as your main colors or in your listing, unless maybe you're using them for your competitor. Regardless, then lastly down here we just have how brands, based on the emotion that they're trying to evoke from the customers, that's a very important part. I don't actually see on here is Lay's. So Lay's potato chips is actually pretty famous because they A/B test everything down to the sound when you crunch it to make you more addicted and statistically eat more. And they've actually found that yellow, because they're mainly retail, was able to get attention the most, which is something interesting, and it's warm and optimistic. So when looking at this, these are definitely important things to take into account. It doesn't have to be limiting, but it can be an enhancement to help get that emotional response out of your audience. But it won't always work, because if we take a look here, purple is creative, imaginative, and wise, and most of these companies would match that, but I don't know that Taco Bell would necessarily be imaginative and wise. But that's up to you guys to decide. So hope this was helpful, and we'll go on to the next video.